Twitter user and world's dumbest man at Scott_Castaneda tweeting at Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello.
Okay.
He says, I used to be a fan until your political opinions came out. Music is my sanctuary, and the last thing I want to hear is political bullshit when I'm listening to music. As far as I'm concerned, you and Pink are completely done. Keep running your mouth and ruining your fan base. Now, again, he's saying this to the guitar player of famously apolitical band Rage Against the Machine.
But think about this. He listens to Rage Against the Machine and Pink.
That's the weirdest
He's
fucking
so
part.
fucking open to ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe he just legitimately wants to separate entertainment from politics because politics bum him out so hard.
He just likes...
He likes heavy riffs.
Yeah, late 90s pop.
He likes it when fucking apes listen to radios.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's very fun that today was the day that a bunch of white supremacists found out that Rage Against the Machine was left wing.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
I feel like they made it pretty fucking obvious, but
I think a lot of people are figuring out a lot of things they didn't realize recently.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, so
maybe he just thought Zach De La Rocha was the political one.
I think he's just an idiot.
Maybe he heard like one of their songs.
Yeah. He heard just the covers album where they covered like Bob Dylan and shit.
Dude, I love that album.
It's good, dude. Renegades of Funk. Yeah.
I had that one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a good one. They had Ghost of Tom Joad. That was my favorite on there. The Bruce Springsteen song.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that one. Remember Pistol Grip Pump.
Pistol Grip Pump. Microphone Fiend. Really fucking good.
That Pistol Grip Pump version goes so fucking hard.
Yes, yeah.
That way they hit the bass and the guitar riff at the same time.
Yeah, that's good shit, man. Yeah, that's a good record. Obviously overlooked.
Cover records don't get the credit they deserve.
Well, and it was their last record too, so it's always kind of like they ended on a weird note almost for a lot of fans. Like it was just building and building and building, and then the 2000 election happened, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, Bush is in office now. We're going to do a covers record and break up. And everybody's like, huh? And that's kind of everyone's last impression of Rage was, huh? What? Wait, what?
Yeah, I think people get the wrong idea judging bands like that, though.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's just like all that shit that was happening, they're not getting together and going, we must make an album right now. They're just like, that guy's a fucking asshole. I don't like dealing with him.
Right. Well, and also it's like, I always said, if they were that mad during Clinton, I don't think they could exist during Bush.
Yeah, they'd all get locked up for saying shit.
Well, yeah, when they reunited in 2007, the very first thing Zach De La Rocha said into a microphone was George Bush deserves to be hung and shot. Literally what he said. The first thing, like, hey, we're back as a band. What have ye to say? That's what came out. So yeah. Anyway.
Do you know the story of them being on SNL?
Oh God, no, I don't think so.
They're like one of the two acts banned from SNL and perhaps NBC entirely.
Yeah, it's them and the fucking Replacements and Elvis Costello.
Because they wanted to hang a communist flag or some shit like that on like one of the bass speakers.
Yeah.
And NBC was like, no, absolutely not. And they tried to set it up that way, and the staff came and like took it down.
Oh, fuck.
And then like 10 seconds before they went live, they had one of their like bat roadies go and tie it up.
Hell
and
yeah.
it's like, okay, live TV. And then like directly after the performance, they escorted them out of the building. They're supposed to play a second song.
Oh God, that's badass.
They're just like right as it ended.
Hell yes. That's so cool.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking badass.
I think officially everyone who's ever been banned from SNL is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Martin Lawrence, fucking
Sinead O'Connor.
One of the best comedians of all time. Sinead O'Connor, badass.
That was such a crazy thing to do.
The Replacements.
What'd they do?
They got shit-faced and broke a bunch of shit, and they were singing their song Kiss Me on the Bus, but Paul Westerberg kept singing Kiss Me on the Butt, shit like that. And
that rules.
Yeah, they rule. Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. Elvis Costello got banned for... and then... I don't know if he's still banned because
what did he do?
He played, I think he was supposed to play I Can't Stand Up for Falling Down, and they wanted him to play that instead of Radio, which was essentially a huge critique of the payola system and radio, especially, which NBC owns shitloads of radio stations.
Of course, it's a conglomerate.
Right. And so they were like,
place.
he wanted to play radio, and they were like, nah, you got to play I Can't Stand Up. So he starts I Can't Stand Up, and then he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot possibly play this song tonight. And then he goes, 1, 2, 3, and they just fucking play radio. And it's so good. Yeah, so yeah, I fully endorse everyone who's ever been banned from Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
I always say I can't wait for Lorne Michaels to die, not because I'm an evil person, but because the amount of stories that are going to finally be able to come out is going to be fantastic.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here. Radio. 1, 2.
So on the show today, we have another very special guest calling in from Central Alabama. On the blower is legitimately, I think, maybe my second or third oldest friend in the entire world. I first met this dude on the first day of 6th grade. He was limping to Miss Philpott's bus in a full leg cast, and now we are so happy to have our legal eagle, my attorney, Matty P. How's it going, dude?
Good, man. Hey, but did I make it onto the bus?
You did. It was. I did. It is a crystal clear memory of the first time I ever saw you. The bus was stopped. There was no one at the stop, and I remember the bus driver just being like, I thought there was supposed to be a kid here. And then like looking down the street, just you with your book bag and a fucking full leg cast. Like, wait! It's burned in my brain. It's one of my favorite things.
I somehow sliced my Achilles tendon, which is like the thing they did to the security guard on Oz, so he couldn't participate in the basketball tournament.
How did you do it?
Myself in a freak accident, and my dad it was in a church basement, and I called down to my dad because he was fixing some wiring in the church, and there's blood everywhere, and he said, just stick your foot in the toilet. And the toilet just turned like the hallway from The Shining red. And he was like, okay, let's try something else. Let's go to the pediatrician's office. I mean, I'm bleeding out close to death. And the pediatrician turns white and he says, I'm driving you guys to the hospital.
Oh, Jesus.
When you got to the hospital, were the doctors like, did you try sticking his foot in a toilet?
No, the ER physician was pissed because he didn't want to deal with it. So basically I was like, there's these like racks that you stack chairs on, and one was empty, and it looked like I could like ride on it like a sled. So I was kicking back and just like gliding across the fellowship hall, which is like tile, and I was wearing sandals. I kicked back. I sliced 90% of my Achilles tendon. If I had sliced the rest, it would have gone all the way up my leg above my knee. But I just kept that little bit remaining. And the ER physician was really, really upset that he had to address this issue immediately. It wasn't like, hey, come back tomorrow and we'll fix this. It was like, we got to do this like right now.
Yeah.
And my mom said he was a jerk the whole time. But ultimately got repaired. I was in a boot for 12 months. And then I got into a pool and did some exercises. And when I got out, I didn't strap it all the way tight because I was feeling like I'm good. And then I took one step with my full weight on it. And it was the most excruciating pain of my life. And just go ahead and add on another 6 months to my recovery time.
Shit.
I gained about 50 pounds, but I lived through it.
I just want to say, I feel like doctors are allowed to be dicks. Because what are you going to do? What's your mom going to grab you up and be like, I'm going to take them to the other hospital where they're nice to me? Just like
I was really upset my mom didn't shop around. If they were going to go ahead, if they were going to take me to the pediatrician before the ER, they could have taken me to Columbus or a nicer hospital with better surgeons.
Hit you up with a minor emergency clinic at least.
So, Legal Eagle Matty P, I was hoping that we could kind of move this discussion a little bit to COVID-19 and specifically into the realm of people's legal rights as far as labor goes. Because what's been happening a lot recently, especially involving people I've talked to on Twitter who listen to the show and stuff like that, is this sort of situation where essentially the boss has you over a barrel if they have officially reopened, quote unquote, and you don't want to go back to work for health reasons. They can obviously just fire you, essentially. So is that
Or cut your unemployment
off, exactly, for saying that you've refused work or whatever?
Well, most states in the Southeast and even in the Southwest are right to work states.
Yeah.
Which means you can be fired for a good reason, a bad reason, or no reason at all. So it's the same reason that these companies are hesitant to pay what's called hazard pay, or what they would classify as hazard pay, because that's an acknowledgement that you are being put in danger of acquiring COVID-19.
Yeah.
And which could be considered a compensable injury and entitle you to workers' compensation benefits. But as long as we have right to work laws, Alabama, of course, is a right to work state. Most states are right to work states. That's totally legal, and there's not a lot you can do about it, unfortunately.
Right. And the whole, for people listening, if they don't know, the right to work acts were mostly put in as a way to kill labor unions and attract businesses, I guess, seeking to pay workers less. So it's why there's lots of like car factories that move to places like Tennessee and Alabama, is because they don't really have to deal directly with somebody like the UAW.
It's why Alabama has Mercedes, Hyundai, Kia, all these places, because they can treat their employees like crap, pay them $14 an hour, require them to continue operating the factory 24 hours a day, even with confirmed COVID cases. It's a business-friendly law.
Has that been going on? Because I know, we talked to our friend Alexis, who works indirectly, I guess, for the automobile industry up in the Midwest, and she was saying that the big three automakers, or at least as of a couple weeks ago, were still shut. Is Hyundai up and running in Montgomery, or do you know?
Hyundai closed as of 10:30 p.m. last night indefinitely, because of I think at least several dozen confirmed COVID cases.
Is that
was voluntary? That was not required by law, but it was the result of we don't have unions here, but political pressure, worker pressure, and I think it's a very positive development. Up in Michigan, they've got strong unions,
right, UAW,
and so, but here in Alabama, we don't have that, but we do have how do you say it? It looks bad in the news type pressure.
Oh, shame. We have a small, a infinitesimally small modicum of shame is the word you're looking for. And so is that seriously the first time they shut the Hyundai plant down was fucking yesterday?
They've shut it down for 24 hours a couple times and clean the surfaces. And they did, for a couple months ago, they had a thing where you had to line up and get your temperature taken, and you could not clock into work until your temperature was taken. So you had people lined up, 500 people in a line.
A factory's worth.
And so that's an hour of payable wages that they did not get because they were waiting to get their temperature taken. And if you know anything about COVID-19, temperature, your temperature is not the best indicator of whether or not you're a carrier of the disease. I went into a courthouse back in March in Ozark, Alabama, which is in Dale County.
Yeah.
And this 20-year-old fucking mall cop, security cop, didn't say a word to me, just pointed a temperature gauge at my head, and I hadn't seen one before. And I didn't know what the hell he was doing. He just pointed it at me. It looked like a gun.
Oh, is it one of those laser ones?
Yeah, he just did it. And then he made me empty my pockets. He asked me about 20 questions about where I've been. He asked me, have I coughed in the last 2 weeks? And I was like, yeah, I've coughed. I was like, yeah, man, I coughed in the last 2 weeks, but not because of this.
I can't believe you told him the truth.
Just go ahead and I was like, I got some paperwork I got to file with the clerk. You can go take it up for me, or I can go take it myself.
Yeah.
I passed your stupid temperature test. Are you gonna do your job, or do you want me to go do my job?
Yeah.
And he was just like, whatever, dude, and then got back on Facebook or whatever.
I love
that's the extent of it.
I love have you coughed in the last 2 weeks?
I would have fucking lied. I would have been like, hell no.
Well, when I went to the Lee County Justice Center, which is in Auburn, where Rivers and I grew up, I did lie about it because I had to go in front of a judge and get a case dismissed.
Well,
it was very important, and I knew the plaintiff wouldn't show up, so I did tell all the lies I needed to tell to get before the judge and get that case dismissed, because that was a very important thing. But the other thing, I just had to file some paperwork.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, I've coughed, dude." 15 days is a long time, man.
Well, that's
I do things that make me cough.
You cough for so many reasons.
I was gonna say that is the like even more ridiculous version of the sign at the pool, where it's like, no getting the pool if you've had diarrhea in the last 2 weeks. It's like, dude, everyone all the time.
It's almost like, hey, have you woken up in the middle of the night in the last 2 weeks and thought about something that makes you anxious? Yeah, I fucking have several times. It's like that stupid of a question in my eyes.
Yeah.
They asked if I've been to Europe, have I been to whatever, have I been to Italy? I was like, you know what? I haven't heard about Italy in about 2 months, man.
Yeah.
The problem is being in Montgomery, Alabama. That's the hot spot right now, man. We're one of the biggest hot spots in the entire Southeast right now.
Yeah. And we talked about Montgomery, Alabama not that long ago, because not only is it a hot spot for COVID, y'all also have those solar-powered guard towers at the Lowe's that are spewing Nazi propaganda.
Yes. I haven't seen it. I listened to the episode. I haven't gone by there. We also have the Southern Poverty Law Center with the 8 security guards ready to shoot you if you try to enter. For any reason.
Yeah.
So I live down the street from Morris Dees, who's the guy who started the SPLC.
Yeah.
He's got 4 Dodge Chargers that are outside his house 24 hours a day, because he thinks white supremacists or whatever are going to come and kill him at any point.
He's not wrong.
And well, the thing is, nobody cares about him. He got Me Too'd about a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
he has no actual leadership role in the SPLC anymore.
No shit.
But he still thinks he's subject to
that
home invasion.
That is very similar to Justin Bieber's house, actually, in Beverly Hills. Justin Bieber bought a house on a regular street, like no gate, no nothing, just a regular ass house on a regular ass street that anyone can drive down, and he has like 6 security guys parked and sitting in the cars, and if you turn onto that street, the cars like crisscross in front of the road, so you can't.
Did we go over there last time I was there, or was that Justin Timberlake's house? I remember getting side-eyed by somebody.
Oh, that was probably at JT's with the guard, because this is a new. I think he bought this less than a year ago, so this would have been a new one.
I wanted to ask y'all something. How are the homeless people that live outside your apartment complex handling this?
It's almost like nothing has changed outside. It's like any other time.
The encampments have gotten more fortified, if anything.
Yeah, for sure. And their bike stealing and picking apart and fixing operation is
somebody had a leaf blower today.
Yeah. They're putting like 2-stroke engines on little girls' bicycles and shit and riding them up and down the street. It's pretty much situation normal.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's as far as that goes, I mean, you might see a homeless guy with a mask, but it's that's rare. Because California, you got to wear a mask any building you go into, and
I think restaurants and shit are opening back up though. I think you can not wear a mask in like restaurants.
I think it's just the outside areas is what they're saying. Like any restaurant with like a patio is opening back up, so you can like sit on the patio with no mask. But if you're inside the place, it's still masks on.
I will say that in Alabama, there's not strict mask laws, but everywhere except like Walmart, Dollar General, people seem to respect it. I went to Publix today to get some groceries, and I would say it was 90% masks.
Yeah.
And people are respecting and trying not to use cash so they don't have to. I had to because I'm waiting on my payday. Took all my money out. But
well, I was speaking of the grocery store. I was going to ask what I ask everybody since the beginning of COVID-19. What's the craziest shit you've seen at a grocery store?
Craziest shit I've seen in a grocery store is a woman trying to return every single one of her groceries as soon as she bought them.
Oh, wow.
She was. I don't know what the deal was. I was behind her because I bought some frosted mini wheats I thought were BOGO, but I bought the wrong size. And she wanted to return. I mean, and they gave her her money back, but she was furious, man.
What was she mad about specifically?
I don't know. She just wanted her money back. I guess somebody offended her.
Okay.
But other than that, like the main issue is toilet paper still. They've started selling these single rolls for 79 cents.
Oh, yeah.
That are really bad. But other than that, there hasn't been any toilet paper for 2 months.
That's so weird.
I've had to bum it off my neighbor downstairs. She ordered like 2 cases from Amazon a couple months ago.
Damn,
but,
we've got it here now. I was gonna say, dude.
Can I ask you, are stores limiting the amount you can buy?
They're limiting the amount of paper products, meat, and a couple other things. But I will say this, man. Publix is a good store, and people seem to respect Publix.
Yeah.
And don't really act the fool in there. And the ones that do are few and far between. I'll say that.
Well, Publix is sort of the, if you're listening in California, the equivalent would be like Gelson's or something. Like it's slightly, not that it's more expensive necessarily. It's just they usually have them in like nicer areas.
It's fancy enough to keep the riffraff out.
And I did go. I did go to the Piggly Wiggly on the west side of Montgomery, which is.
And you had to win a knife fight to get out.
The song "Poor Places" by Wilco is probably based on the west side of Montgomery, but they had no meat and no soda.
Oh, Christ.
They had Diet Dr. Pepper Cherry was the only soda they had, and they had no meat. Period. It's just really bad on that side of town right now.
Yeah.
The CVS and Walgreens over there just boarded up and have been closed for 2 months. They just don't want any problems.
Yeah.
But over on the east side, East Chase, all that's fine. Auburn is back to normal. But the protests here in Montgomery have been pretty disappointing compared to Birmingham.
Real quick, because I'm going to ask you about the protests in 1 second. I just want to ask the last COVID question. Do you have a neighbor, any neighbor weirdness?
I showed up, blackout, took some anti-anxiety medication and drank some liquor and showed up at my neighbor's house and said some things about a girl I had been seeing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I don't know what I said, but then they invited me over for dinner the next night and she was at my house. So I invited her over and then her boyfriend was drunk and said some really disrespectful things and almost got in a fist fight with this guy. And he was like 5'8". I'm about 6'4". I could have ended this dude. But she's like 43, single, wants kids. I wanted her to be happy, but I got kicked out of a bar. I apparently stole a half pint of tequila from a Mexican restaurant that I bought a margarita at.
So you're the crazy neighbor.
Let him keep going, Rivers.
I just blacked out one night.
Yeah.
After you I
got access to some things.
Pop some Chinese Xanax, dude. I know all about it.
And so I'm the crazy neighbor.
Hell yeah, bro.
How far away is this Mexican food place from your house?
It's a block away, and I love to go there.
Dude.
I don't know if I'll ever go again.
Dude, one time I went to this chicken wing place that I was a block away from my house, and they had a bar, and I blacked out. And the last thing I remember is just spilling stuff all over the place and all over the floor. And I just never went back. I used to go there like every day.
Oh, man.
I will say this. You know how on your bank account it shows the amounts of the bill, and then like 2 days later it shows the tip gets added?
Yeah.
I tipped him $20 on a $7 margarita, apparently. So I don't. Whatever that half pint of tequila cost, it has been paid in full, and the workers got it, not the owners.
Hell yeah! Fight the fucking power.
I'm apparently not allowed in the bar behind the Mexican restaurant because I guess I'll tell this story. So the bars close at 9:00 here.
Yeah,
right now
what?
Because curfew's at 10.
Oh,
I showed up apparently at 9:15 with my half pint of tequila. And was upset that I couldn't be let in because there was multiple people still in there drinking. Well, apparently a guy that was friends with the bartender and several of the workers had died in a fire the night before that. And this was kind of a vigil, wake, commiseration. And they gently told me, hey, you're not welcome here. And I apparently got a little upset, and there were some raw emotions that got peeled back a little further. But hey, man, I made it to work the next day. I billed 8 hours. And I didn't know about any of this shit until my friend who I work with was like, "Yeah, man, I talked to the bartender, and you don't need to go back there for a while." So I don't have any bad. I have good neighbors, but I'm.
What did you almost get in the fight with that guy over? What did he say?
He was talking about some issues in her past, and he made sure to mention them repeatedly while we were dishing out dinner and eating dinner at her house. And I didn't hear what he was saying at the time, but she apparently was very upset. And the next day when she came over, she accosted my neighbor and told her how disrespected she felt. It was real bad, man. It was real bad. But it was just one of these 43-year-old former Ole Miss frat boys that don't know how to talk to women. They're just totally disrespectful, and that's kind of what happened. I wish I had a better bad neighbor story, but
no, that's pretty good.
Like your friend from the Jurassic Park episode, I'm the bad neighbor. What's his name? Solenberger?
Oh, Kurt Steinmiller.
I am him. I am the one who is the...
Kurt wishes.
I am the one who knocks with
stolen tequila.
With stolen tequila.
I also like how you just assumed that a bar was going to let you bring in an open bottle of liquor. Or is that legal?
No, it was their bottle.
Oh, I thought he stole it from the Mexican food place. It was from
the Mexican restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Come on,
gotcha.
keep
Apparently,
it up,
I
dude.
was taking discreet sips. I was going to buy some drinks there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You were going to buy some drinks and pour your own rocket fuel in
It's
them.
crazy
but
how much extra.
Unfortunately, I was a bad neighbor, but I've learned my lesson.
That's good.
Isn't it crazy how much more you can drink on Xanax than you think you should be able to? Like, I'll wake up.
And I woke up the next day, like, I don't know what happened. I can't, as soon as I find my keys, I'm ready to go to work.
Yeah.
Woke up at like 7:30. But
have you ever woken up with money in your wallet after a night like that?
On the night before New Year's Eve, a similar occurrence happened. I was drinking with the same neighbor. I fell down the steps, cracked open my head.
What? Like legit, or you just like cut it?
Well, I didn't split the skull, but I have about a 2-inch gash in my head that probably should have been addressed. I had a concussion-based symptoms for about a week.
Yeah.
But I had $1 at the time. My wallet was at the bottom of the steps, along with a lot of blood. And the $1 was gone. But my credit cards, my driver's license, my ID, and apparently my neighbor told me she brought me all the way up to my bed. And apparently I needed to go back down for something. But at the end of the day, all I lost was $1 and my dignity.
But you're saying that some shithead stole $1 from a puddle of blood?
I bet you just gave away that $1.
Maybe so. Maybe I was like, you were so kind.
Yeah,
Please
dude.
have this $1.
You're on Xanax. Nothing makes sense.
Here's a tip.
Here's a tip for being a good friend.
But
Yeah, I guess let's talk briefly about the protests and stuff like that, what they look like down there, because obviously I'm sure you've seen L.A. on the news. It's been it's been pretty
wild, man.
Pretty widespread and pretty wild.
The Grove will never be the same.
Man, the Grove got off pretty easy.
We're gonna rebuild stronger than ever.
But what does it look like in Central Alabama as far as that goes?
Okay, so like I said, I didn't go in person, but I've been watching Facebook Live videos, and it's completely disorganized. It is about 90 to 95% black, which I think is a good thing, but it's just people standing around. There's no chanting. There's no real organization. There's no marching. It's just a bunch of people standing a block away from the state capitol building on their phones, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
It really seemed like they needed a organizing force. It was kind of disappointing to me, honestly. And they did peacefully disperse at 10 o'clock when the curfew.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
There's a Jefferson Davis there's a statue of Jefferson Davis 1 block from when that protest was. There's also a huge monument outside the governor's mansion, or I know the state capitol, that has a whole screed about how white people are the nightly race and all these things. And that hasn't been touched.
Jesus. Well, and just in case people who are listening who don't know, before Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy, it was Montgomery. And so the steps of the Alabama State Capitol, there's actually a star on the top step where Jefferson Davis stood and proclaimed the Confederacy of, the CSA or whatever.
Right. I mean, every block there's a memorial to something awful that happened in the 1800s.
Well, and it's also surprising because Montgomery is where Dr. King organized the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955. It is literally the epicenter of the civil rights movement. So.
Yeah, and I will say Dexter Avenue Baptist Church did not get touched.
Well,
MLK's church.
Yeah.
The MLK's house is like 3 doors down from the first White House of the Confederacy. Neither of them have been touched.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Montgomery has a black mayor, a black police chief, a black fire chief, a black chief judge, and 3 other circuit judges. All the district judges are black. The probate judge is black. Generally, the police department here has a good relationship with the city. I mean, that does play a factor.
It does.
Most people are not too upset with the way Montgomery Police Department treats civilians.
Yeah,
well, there are some exceptions, but this is a majority black city and majority black leadership, and the mayor has shown some pretty strong leadership. Not as good as Woodfin and Birmingham, I'd say. And all the racist people live in like Prattville, Wetumpka, Millbrook, Pike Road. They don't live in Montgomery.
Yeah. All the fucking.
So Montgomery is a pretty liberal town.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of police brutality or anything like that. There's a lot of murders and a lot of thefts and robberies. But as far as like police injustice, a guy got shot by a cop about 2 years ago. A lady died in jail because she had a diabetic episode seizure and they thought she was drunk, so she died in jail. Other than that, that's about it.
Well,
it seemed like all the places that were really fucking going crazy and they had nearly fresh incidents or really highly publicized incidents in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The guy that shot the officer that shot the African-American man here in Montgomery a couple years ago got convicted of murder too.
Yeah.
So justice was served.
Well, that's good. So I guess last thing would be what from a legal perspective do you tell people who maybe are going out to protest?
You're going to get antagonized by the police. Don't accept the bait. They're going to arrest with impunity. And there's going to be a lot of civil rights 1983 type lawsuits that are filed. But because of qualified immunity, almost none of them will be successful. They'll almost all be dismissed on either a motion to dismiss or motion for summary judgment because they haven't clearly violated a constitutional law. So until qualified immunity is done away with, you really need to be careful what you do at these protests, and definitely don't do anything that can be seen as aggressive or out of line. And if you get arrested and you didn't do anything wrong, there's a lot of bail funds out there. There's a lot of people willing to represent you. And the best you can do is probably get the charges dismissed. But as far as getting civil damages, good luck on that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until Justin Amash in whatever state that is, Nebraska or Pennsylvania, he's trying to introduce a bill to get rid of qualified immunity, which is a Supreme Court created concept.
What's it mean?
Yeah. What is that? Explain that to me, because I
don't know.
Yeah.
Basically, police officers, unless they violate a clear constitutional law, they can't be held civilly accountable for their actions.
Okay.
So you basically have to be able to point to a Supreme Court decision where somebody did nearly the exact same thing to the person, and it was found to be unconstitutional. So that's very rare. I mean, if you kill somebody, that counts.
Yeah.
But if you mace somebody, if you put somebody in a chokehold and wrestle them to the ground, that's not gonna qualify. There's a lot of things that 95% of things that should be actionable in civil court are not, because of this concept of qualified immunity. And until it's abolished by the legislature, protesters are going to kind of be at the will of these police departments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically,
and the best thing you can do is just outnumber them right now. I mean, you see what happened in Seattle. They took over City Hall. You can't arrest everybody. There's power in numbers is what I have to say. Don't go anywhere on your own. Don't go try to make a point with two of your friends. Organize, follow African American community organizers that have experience with this issue and know how to deal with things when they get bad, and listen to the people who know what they're talking about, and don't assume that just because you have this righteous anger, you're going to be protected from police brutality, police misconduct, and don't assume that if you are arrested, you're going to be ultimately vindicated. That's just the state of the world right now. But things are changing. It'll take a couple years, but there's a paradigm shift going on right now. And I think within the next, once Andrew Cuomo becomes president, I think some things might change.
Jesus Christ. Their fucking subways don't even work still. Jesus.
So on the qualified immunity thing, it doesn't work out for civilians because the cops can basically just say you were doing something illegal or not responding to their commands or something like that.
Right, and there's no clear guidance from the Supreme Court saying that you cannot take this specific action.
Yeah, but this is for civil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But
right,
they'll be like violating your right to peacefully assemble and then arrest you for it, and then say they didn't violate the Constitution.
Right. Yeah. But this is just if you try to sue them, like if they put your eye out, for instance.
Most of these charges for people who get arrested, like your roommate Rivers.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, citation, or it's going to get dismissed ultimately. But when people's rights are violated, they should be entitled to civil damages.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with the police, that's just not on the table, unfortunately. And that's just the way the system works.
Do you think, because as we're speaking right now, I believe 8 people in total have lost eyeballs to rubber bullets since the protests have started. Do those people, is there a recourse for that sort of thing? Physical, like
they'll get some money.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
But it won't be the officer won't be held liable. The municipality will settle it out of court. Yeah. Just because qualified immunity exists doesn't mean the police department, which is an arm of the municipality, won't settle for publicity reasons.
In your opinion, if you think the police could be civilly liable, do you think incidents of brutality would go down because of that?
Yes, absolutely. Like 100%.
Yeah.
You're going to bankrupt like Des Moines, Iowa, if 3 dumbass cops beat up some protesters. You know, these cities, a lot of these cities don't have a lot of money in their coffers to pay these judgments. I mean, New York does, LA does, Atlanta does, Chicago does, but a lot of these smaller ones, municipalities, they don't have the money to pay for this shit. They're not going to tolerate police misconduct if qualified immunity is abolished. It's an uphill battle.
Well, it's something to, you said that it can be done away with on a legislative level, so it's a thing to start writing Congress people about.
The fact that a bill has been introduced to abolish qualified immunity by a respected congressman, I know he's a Republican, pro-life, whatever, he is a respected congressman, is a big deal and a step in the right direction.
Well, shit, man, that's, you know, I guess we can end on a sort of a positive note there, I suppose.
Yeah,
at least there's a bill.
That was all very interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to find out exactly how the police violate your constitutional rights legally. That's honestly very interesting to me because I didn't know exactly how that worked.
Yeah. Well, shit. Thank you so much for joining us, man. It's all
right, Rivers, man. I love the podcast, Sam. You guys have made my day. I've been going on these long walks. I listen to every episode once or twice. And,
awesome.
Look forward to it every day, and hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yeah,
thanks for being on the show.
All right, that is Legal Eagle, Matty P.
Every lawyer I've ever met gets so fucked up. There's just something about the job.
Yeah, man. Makes you look into the void and want to party.
Yeah, gives you the itch.
Yeah. Maybe so, but yeah, man, that's one of my oldest friends right there.
Oh yeah,
Matty P.
He's cool.
I love that guy. God, we were roommates for like 2 years in college. A lot of good times there.
Cool.
My favorite Matty P thing was we lived next to a baseball little league field, and it was the winter, and so it was like wet and rainy and pissy, and we were just like, man, you know, whenever it turns spring, let's get a kickball and we'll go out to the baseball field and fucking play kickball. And we had jazzed ourselves up for it. You know, me and Maddie and Richard, our roommate, we were like, fuck yeah. We had a huge crew. And then Maddie was up to bat first. I rolled the ball to him. He went to kick it and immediately dislocated his knee.
Dude, that guy's got some leg issues.
Oh yeah, it was rough, man. I felt bad for him. It was literally we'd been dreaming about this all winter, and just
that was like the first pitch of the game.
First pitch of the game.
Wow!
Just right off the bat, like, I gotta go to the hospital. So, anyway,
yikes.
Yeah, but that's Matty P. I have one small item to get to here. Yeah, so, you know, we talked about Bulldozer Guy yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And Nebraska, you know, we talked about how shitty the Omaha Police Department was to all those people. This is from yesterday. Around 9 a.m. at a North Lincoln Walmart store, 24-year-old Kyle Schlucker, Schlucky, a lot of Germans there in Nebraska. Schlucky took off his clothing and began walking around the store naked and making offensive hand gestures and yelling.
So I wonder what he's doing.
Just giving people the finger, I think, which sounds so fucking cool.
What if he was doing the like V under your mouth, doing the tongue thing?
Yeah,
you know,
that would be cool.
The pussy licking hand signal, throwing up devil horns and shakas.
My friend Jingles did that on the big screen at Bonnaroo. He got front row for Erykah Badu, and before the show starts, they like pan the front row, and so you'll get on the big screen. And we were like way in the back, and we knew Jingles was in the front. So when they started the panning, we were like, oh, let's look for Jingles, and then it just stops on him, and just to, you know, Jingles, just for reference, looks almost exactly like Nicolas Cage from Raising Arizona.
Okay.
And the camera just stops on him, and he just looks both directions, straight at the camera, and then immediately throws up the V and starts doing the tongue thing, and it was outstanding.
One of the funniest things you can do still to this day. I can't deny it.
Yeah, but I already like a guy. He's already committed to being naked, but then he's going to go the extra mile of flicking people off, which is great.
Maybe he was shaking his dick at him.
I'm sure he was, you know. After police arrived, they were informed that he had actually left the store, running towards the nearby Sam's Club gas station. And when officers...
They got good prices on gas. I can see why he would want to get down there quickly.
When officers spoke to the man, he was still naked and resisted arrest, but they took him into custody without injury.
It's funny how that is written. Like, when officers spoke to the man, like they were just standing across from each other, being like, "Okay, what's going on
Like
here?"
his book club.
Yeah.
Talking about what happened and the things they carried. Police suspected he was under the influence of drugs, yes, and medical crew took him to the hospital. He was screened, later released to the Lancaster County Jail on suspicion of indecent exposure.
Yeah,
and resisting arrest.
That might be true.
But notice what I didn't say. They didn't fucking kill him.
No.
Yeah.
No, not this guy.
Not this guy. For some reason,
his cock looked too good.
Yeah,
the officer saw it and were like, we got to keep this thing around.
That's gotta be a live.
This
dick.
is a pig loves a hog. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Yes, they do. But yeah, that's So fuck you, Nebraska cops. Why are we leaving this guy alive? You know.
You can't claim a naked guy has a gun, I guess.
That is true.
It's hard to say he was reaching for something.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Yeah, so from now on, if you if you have any interaction with the police, if you can have access to a bulldozer, that's one way to not get killed. And if you don't have access to a bulldozer, take your clothes off. Show them your wiener, because then they won't shoot you.
Yeah, they'll at least think about it.
Yeah. They'll think twice before they'll
probably mace you because they won't want to tackle you and touch you.
Yeah. So, do you got anything else, man?
I don't know.
What you been up to today?
Fucking, what have I done? Nothing, mostly. Looked at Twitter.
Anything good happening on Twitter?
No, just the constant stream of notifications that I've been getting.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that on here?
We could. I don't know if it's that interesting. I mean, it sort of is, I guess. Basically, I saw this video of this comic 4 years ago. It has a really racist joke in it that's just a cutaway shot of her holding a noose around a black guy who's dressed like a slave's neck.
Yeah.
So I had posted about it on Facebook the first time I saw it. And I was just like, that was horrible. She was not funny.
4 years ago.
Unfriended her. Yeah. And then several days ago, Facebook memories reminded me that this was a thing. And I was just like, in the 4 years that have passed, that particular comic has kind of like climbed the ladder of comedy.
Yeah.
And is like a successful actress. And, she's been on Seth Meyers. So she has like a level of fame. And I just thought it would be funny to upload that quick clip of her with the noose.
Right.
And just see what would happen. I figure all the alt comedy people are so like scared in line with like getting jobs and shit, not rocking the boat.
Right.
That they're just going to ignore it. And it's going to be one of those things where I'm like, hey, Rivers, look at this. Look at this horrible thing I posted. Yeah. Look how nobody who talks about being woke all the time pays any attention to it because it's their fucking friend. And
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened.
That video, when I looked yesterday, had I think 300 or so likes, less than 100 retweets, and then like 85,000 views.
And that, when I first put it up, the first after it'd been up for probably like around 12 hours, I had clicked on the tweet, and you can see how many people have seen the tweet or engaged in it, like clicked on it to see the video.
Right.
And it was 100 times more than the amount of likes it had. And so I was like, well, people know about this.
Yeah.
They're sharing it in like group chats and text messages and shit. Yeah. Still, nobody was saying anything publicly.
Yeah.
And so I just started like replying to my own tweet being like, just wondering if any of the alt comedy people are actually going to reply to this, or if they're all just full of shit.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just tired from posting about how you need to hold racism accountable and can't respond to this one.
Man.
Because I knew that people followed me on Twitter who are also friends with her. And I know they definitely saw the tweet and the tweets afterwards where it's like, hey, nobody's replying to this. I wonder why. Eventually, one of them felt guilty enough about it to where they tagged her in it and like retweeted the video. And that's when it really got the ball rolling publicly.
Yeah.
And then
she issued
The video got pulled a couple hours later, or maybe like an hour. It got quickly pulled once like more people. And the thing is, she got tagged in it the first night I did it, but she wasn't going to respond.
Yeah,
because it would have been smart for her to not respond. She had to. She didn't want to respond when she had to.
Yeah.
Because it was just. It got to a point where enough people knew about it, where she had to make a statement. But her statement let more people know about it than had known before.
The Streisand rule.
Yeah, people just started being like, "Hey, what the fuck? You're racist." And then she posted a really bad apology.
It's one of the worst apologies I've ever read.
Like I said, it seems like
shocking.
It came out of a how to apologize for racism for dummies. It's one of those just classic, oops, I'm sorry you caught me being racist.
Yeah.
And she tried to downplay it by saying it was in 2016, it was only 3 minutes long, and it was a character, and it was the whole incident was caused by her privilege, and that she now sees that it's bad.
Yeah, she now but then
that was my favorite part, is that her claiming that when she was 25 years old in 2016, that she didn't understand that could be a really bad joke.
See, my favorite part of the whole thing was when she goes, I was recently tagged in a video.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, you fucking did it.
Yeah,
you wrote, fucking shot, and produced it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you were recently tagged?
Yeah, that was just another thing for her to like downplay it.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, I never was like, let's cancel this bitch. I just wanted to be like, hey, look at this person you prop up and act as is great. Because I am involved in the alt comedy scene heavily.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a choice in that ever. When I started comedy in Austin, I had no idea it was like an alty comedy scene. I was just geographically thrust into it.
Sure.
When I moved out to LA, I don't know the landscape of anything. I end up in East LA and end up just going to all these mics with alt comics, not really realizing it was the alt scene at first, you know?
Yeah.
So multiple times I've been thrust into these situations, and in the bigger cities, you kind of see these people and they come from wealth. A lot of times they come from moms or dads that are also in the
show business
even directly in comedy. And they always like climb the ladder, of course, nepotism, money, their parents buy them an agent for their birthday type of fucking shit.
Yeah.
And so I see these people like that, and I see how they get propped up by other comics. Because in comedy, there's no actual judge for the quality of comedy.
Yeah, sure.
Comics are judged by what they've achieved and how far they've climbed up the ladder. So when somebody starts climbing up the ladder, all the people below them start being like, they're great. I love them.
Yeah.
They could hate them or not give a shit, and they would still come out and be like, they're so funny. Here, watch their set on late night. You got to see this. They're one of my close friends. And it gets to the point where they're so full of shit. Like, I've thought she was unfunny since I saw this video.
Yeah.
Back 4 years ago. And I just wanted to be like, hey, look at this. And then it blew up into this whole thing where now her career's in jeopardy. And then I responded to her apology just because it was really bad. And then I just started trolling responses to it. And it made people who don't realize I'm a comic and I just did it for that,
Yeah.
They think I'm like a canceller. But I don't even know what to say. People have been coming at me trying to defend her, trying to like discredit me, like that changes anything she did.
Right.
It's really interesting to see that like fans of hers are just like, I don't care. I love her.
Yeah.
Like people were apologizing for her and like, and apologizing and trying to explain what her apology meant. Like it was very fucking weird.
She's got what they call the stands there.
Yeah, yeah, she does. But it is interesting to see the reaction from the comedy community of really not wanting to publicly do anything or say anything because they don't want to be accused of like rocking the boat or being a hater.
Yeah.
I've wanted to post this video before. Just like when she has something that everybody's gushing about or something, like Or when she was on Seth Meyers, I was kind of like at a point where I was like, man, I should post this video. It'd be so funny. But then I knew what was going to happen because she has such a higher social currency than me in comedy that people are just going to be like, fuck you. You're a hater, whatever. If this video would have got posted a month ago, nobody would have given a shit.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Because now their whole identities, all these like white alt comics, their whole identities have become these like race crusaders for against racism, and it was kind of interesting just to see if they would tear each other apart, and then they sort of did, but in a disappointing way. They sort of didn't, and not disappointing because you want to see him do it, but just disappointing in finding out that all these comics who preach wokeness and call out other comics and shit like that, when it's one of their own, they're just silent as fuck because they're thinking about their career.
And they don't even realize that comedy is dead.
Yeah. Well, these are people that are working, though. People who are like on HBO shows and shit like that.
Right.
People know who she is. And that it's going to be hard to be a company right now and want to be attached to somebody who has a picture of them holding a noose around a black man's neck.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing because everybody wants to, like, when they get in comedy, they want to act like, I'm going to say shit people are afraid to say, and you know that's so common a thing.
Oh yeah.
And then when it comes time to do it, it can be awkward. It can be awkward to call out a friend. I get that,
right?
But then also they're not doing it because of their career.
Yeah,
straight up. Her podcast host subtweeted me saying that we shouldn't, as white people, we shouldn't point fingers and we should just focus on ourselves.
What?
Yeah.
We're the ones with the power. We have to be the ones to point the fucking fingers.
I could go on for days.
Hell yeah.
I get so many notifications about this shit in the past like 48 hours.
Is that what happened? Because yesterday you said somebody called you overrated. Is that?
Oh yeah, some burner account said I was a white, racist, overrated comedian.
Yeah, and I'm still thinking about that,
dude. I am too.
It's great. It's like, all right,
I'm rated, dude.
That you're rated. That's all that means.
I'm rated to a point that's so high people think it's too much.
Yeah, you're overvalued in this economy.
Ooh, they should see my booking list.
Yeah.
Look at that calendar, baby.
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rivers Langley.
Find him in his kitchen making a delicious sweet tea. Also.
Oh, that's right.
Shout out to Rivers.
Got some fresh mint from the garden in that sweet tea.
Catch me on Twitter at Slam Harder.
Where he's getting yelled at all day.
Yeah, I'm accepting donations now. If you enjoy reading about the online drama, you have to send me $2.
You have to.
That's the rule. It's like when you shook people down for Jurassic Park tickets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Sam's Jurassic Park is social media drama.
I'm one to afford a dinner from a restaurant. All the extra money will be donated.
Fuck yeah. Find us on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Thank you for listening.